I'm Deanna Anderson, Associate Editor at GreenBiz Group. I'm here with Deon Stander of Avery Dennison. How are you doing?
Very well yourself, Deanna.
Good. So I am super interested in learning more about Avery Dennison and how you all have transitioned from your beginnings. How would you describe what you do now?
Well, the best way to describe it, I think, is in probably three dimensions. One, we started off as the world's first self-adhesive label 80 years ago. Stan Avery invented the business built around the world's first self-adhesive label. And since then, we've been involved in labeling and labeling solutions pretty much all of our journey. And we've extended into other areas. I'd say the biggest transformation we've made over the last sort of 10 or so years, and more recently the last 5 years, is recognizing that some of those analog technologies ultimately are required to become much more digital in a highly digitized future. So we're thinking about solutions and ideas that allow us to enable a digital future for all companies and for supply chains as well.
Yeah, can you share a little bit about why it's important for companies to do this work that you just described?
Well, if you think about it, we have this belief that every physical item in the future will have a digital identity. And that is enormous implications for the way we're able to assess what happens in supply chain. So from the birth of an item, we're involved in producing the label that goes on either apparel or a shampoo bottle, all the way through its supply chain journey, and then ultimately into store and beyond to the consumer engaging. When you create a digital identity for that item, specifically identifying this item uniquely from everybody else and associated with you as the consumer, then we open up the possibility of brands and retailers being able to have a one-to-one dialogue with the consumer, not only shining a light on how the product was made, the provenance of it through the supply chain, which in itself helps drive down, for example, waste and improves the circularity of the product. But ultimately, when we get to the consumer, how we can have dialogue with the consumer that allows them to understand what they would do with an item when it comes to the end of its useful life. Do we reuse it? Do we repurpose it? Can we dispose of it in a way? And this digital identity, I think, is going to play a transformational role in making that information available to consumers in a way that we've never been able to do so in the past.
Yeah, so as you all are continuing to do this work, something that you talked about with Kate Daly on stage earlier today is the importance of collaboration as you all continue to learn and kind of advance this work. Why is it so important to collaborate?
Well, I think we're right at the start of the beginning, as I think I said on stage. For me, the most important thing is that technology has played a role now to get us to a point where the possibility of having a unique digital identity for every item on earth is there. But the technology will continue to evolve. And the way that it evolves is the whole ecosystem testing out the technology and testing out the partnerships and the infrastructure to make that work. In that sense, collaboration is a fundamental unlock for that. The more that we, not only ourselves as a company, but our competitors and the broader industry get together, I think the quicker we advance the possibilities of the solutions and put confidence into the entire retail supply chain, whether it be apparel or food or logistics, whichever one of those, or pharmaceuticals, that these solutions actually can provide practical, real benefit, not just for business productivity, but ultimately for sustainability and to support a much more circular-led world in the future.
One last question.
Sure.
As you said, we're at the beginning of the beginning. As companies try to take on these sustainability goals and be able to trace their products from beginning to end, do you have any advice for them if they're new to the space?
I would say two things. One, start. While the task may seem daunting, solving the challenges that we all face on the broader sustainability are daunting, but unless we start and we start to collaborate and we start to test, not only will we limit the level of technology and development, but we won't make the progress that we want to. And so for me, that is the first point. People start, they can try out. There's plenty of technology that allows us to try trials in certain areas to prove whether provenance in the supply chain works or consumer engagement or circularity can be supported by the technology. I think the second thing is just a willingness and open to share on the learnings of that. I think that is going to be one of the fundamental things in which what I appreciate about being here in GreenBiz is just a willingness and openness for people to want to learn more from each other in a much more collaborative way, because I think that collaboration will underpin the way we deal with some of these pressing challenges in the future.
Great. Well, I look forward to seeing how you collaborate with other companies. Thank you so much for being here, Deon.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the time.